From a young age, Yuji was dealt a bad hand. For some reason, he was born unwanted. He thought this because he was left in the middle of the street in a basket, not even put near an orphanage. But he did happen to be found by an orphanage at some point. He spent years going from foster home to foster home, but he didn't have the best parents all the time. But some were good folks. Though through all of this, he usually clung to games. It was his way of escaping how crappy life was, to level up and always get better. Knocked through a building, Miwa crashes into a store and gets up finding herself in the men's section as she darts to the left when a trail of ice nearly reaches her. Uraume enters the store and stomps, cracking the trail and turning them to needles that are then thrown at the young sorcerer. And coming to a stop, Miwa blocks each and every one while using a new shadow style. Kasumi Miwa, job, Jujutsu or Jujutsu sorcerer, whatever you prefer. Gender, female, status, Jujutsu student, level 47. Title, Moonlit Swordsman. Age 17, species human. Let's talk about her stats. MP 780, HP 20,000, strength 147, agility 300. She really upped that one. Intelligence 205, stamina 100, dexterity 267, wisdom 9, luck 50. Let's talk about her skills. She has actually quite a few. Sword Master skill, active, level 2. Evolve to what's it called? It evolved from the skill swordsmanship to swordsmaster, and it's at level 2, meaning that she's already gone up 100 levels. So I'm not saying she's not good at being a swordsman despite only using a sword. Yeah, I just want to clear that up. Her new shadow style is an active skill at level 44. Quick draw, active, level 35. Chaining slashes, active, level 28. I haven't used that one in the story at all yet, but it's a pretty cool skill. Flash step, active, level 50. Parry, active, level 60. Thrust, active, level 26. Cursed energy control, passive, level 29. Almost every sorcerer who's gone into the dungeons or has had their stats upgraded earns this skill at some point, like he told Tsukumo in the last part. She has 0 extra points left and 12 million yen in cash. After blocking each needle, Miwa then blitzes and stabs her blade through the ancient sorcerer before pulling out and activating new shadow style. How is she doing such a thing? Was she holding back? Bato. As death nears them, Uraume will be struck as Miwa hits and slides past the mannequin, which is split in two at the waist, just as the clothes and hangers alike are destroyed, and she slowly stands, turning. Oh, come on. Domain amplification, thinks Uraume as she turns. Healing herself, she catches her breath as the two would then keep eye contact, and both realize each is strong. But Uraume can't help but marvel at the talent before her. Someone without a technique not only cornered but damn near killed her for the 3rd time this entire bout. She knew of new shadow style and it was only meant to partially neutralize techniques, but Miwa, like everyone thinks, has mastered it to the point where it's just straight up domain amplification, even though she doesn't have a domain to use. As for Maki, her battle with Toji was so massive that every curse in their way was torn through, and they do so again as they literally run through a massive curse, which was essentially just a mouth with what seemed like an endless rows of teeth. They bash their bodies through it as blood bathes their skin and splatters to the floor, while windows shatter from the shockwave of impact as they both exit out of its body. It is torn to just mush. They leap from building to building, meeting blow after blow, and they're honestly far more straightforward in how brutally they destroy one another, so I don't need to go into detail for you guys to know. They are going in. Every blow literally shatters stone and can bend steel. Shibuya in itself, however, has become a breeding ground for all types of curses. All All of them are about like special grade, or they're nearing special grade, or at first grade. Some hide, some actually come at you, and some stay in groups, as there are a few weak ones, of course. But this was just good experience for the students who have yet to face such creatures in such a way other than in dungeons. Alright, finally found your annoying ass. Not bad trying to hide using veils. Walking his way into a veil, Itadori shatters it and arrives at the scene of the crime, where he sees Kenjaku sweating bullets. So we finally meet the famous nurturer. Observe, thinks Yuji. Huh, you're definitely dying today. with how much you've done about past centuries? Are you insane? What sorcerer isn't? Fair enough. You're still gonna die. That body you're inhabiting, it doesn't belong to you. Kenjaku reacts quickly, putting up his hands out of instinct, having the memories of Suguru Geto embedded deep within his soul. He is well aware of how powerful Yuji is, and that was only 2 years ago. Huh? Geto's body falls over as his eyes turn dead and the top of his head clatters to the floor, with him then seeing Yuji holding his brain. So if I kill you, I activate your binding vow, huh? Wouldn't that be interesting? As for the curses you release, with a clench he would crush the curse to mush flesh and blood, and from this death a flood of malevolent spirits spread and cloud our vision, right as a pulse of cursed energy ripples out. It passes through every living being and comes to a stop right where the barrier over Shibuya was. Anyone strong enough to feel this stops whatever battle they find themselves in, and all humans in sight disappear. At least humans who don't have, well, cursed energy or have like significant fighting prowess or are considered dangerous. They all just vanish. He can do that? Asked Inumaki. He can do that, Kusagabe? Asked Panda. I guess he can. We're not in Shibuya anymore though. Slowly the world around them begins to change until it all turns into a different city. The setting will be more futuristic. A futuristic version of Earth ruined by curses. As we return to Yuji, he walks by the prison realm and picks it up, putting it in his inventory. When he arrived, he realized that he may have something to do, otherwise all civilians would die today. And it took him a while, but he analyzed the barrier he was in and was able to overlay his own dungeon into the veil, and thus allowing him to expel normal people from it, as these dungeons allow him to keep those with no control of cursed energy out. But something much worse is about to happen. He's insane, but he's definitely eccentric. What the hell is a calling game? Over a month, 10 veils sprouted over 10 colonies in Japan, but things didn't go as planned. In the case that Kenjaku died, because even he's not dumb enough to think they could beat Yuji, these veils would have been put up, meaning that the calling game starts from his death, therefore there's no game master to even stop it, and it only makes his plan even more cunning. Yuji infiltrated these barriers, however, and changed the rules of the game as an entirety. He didn't get to every single veil, but he was able to change the game in general. You actually get more points from killing curses that Yuji laid out in specific areas that are disaster curse level than just killing each other. So there's less incentive to get into battles. And also these curses are pretty strong because he faces them and even he has trouble with them and he's pretty OP. However, these must be challenged by someone who has reached a certain level. That's right, because he actually did this himself. He's applying the same logic that he did to them. He himself has to suffer something, however, which is that all the players turn into members of not his party, but his server of sorts. He becomes the game master. He becomes an administrator for real. But it also means that he could kick out whoever he wanted and kept in ancient sorcerers and kicked out normal people. But the ancient sorcerers only possess the skills and abilities they built in the game. When they're outside any of the veils, they lose them. However, those who have already used the system for far longer keep their abilities they built inside. This is the binding vow that's extrapolated due to their relationship with Yuji. Weeks then pass after this month. November 1st. Let's say 7 a.m. I know Kenjaku couldn't have done this, thanks Kashima, to have my strength and power turn to numbers. Whoever this administrator is, I can only liken him to a god. As he checks his stats, behind him is another player with a hole in his stomach, his blood sprouted everywhere. I can get even stronger, and in accordance to raising them, oh, this is gonna be fun. Interesting. In the Vale of Tokyo Colony, a four-armed being sits atop of a lamppost, scratching his chin while checking his stats. He is level 108 and has realized that he is not only as strong as he was in his first form in Heian, but he has already surpassed that by a bit, especially with these skills that he's made. But just then, the administrator would then speak, and his voice is heard through all their individual status screens. A new dungeon will be created in each veil, linking to one where we'll finally put an end to all this. For anyone who wants to know who I am especially, you'll find out because I'll be the final boss. All sorcerers who hear this are left grinning as they cannot contain their bloodlust. To face an opponent who seems almost godly feels like a privilege to them. But Yuji was never planning to let them reach him. From Yuji's point at Jujutsu Tech, we find him in a new dungeon. He has two types of dungeon, by the way. Normal ones and time-dilated ones. Only he is able to use the time-dilated ones. And that's how he's continued to get stronger so much faster. Because the dilation is 6-1. In the dungeon, 6 hours inside is just 1 minute on the outside. So to say that there's a reason he's always so ahead is, because of this is an understatement, because he really abuses these dungeons. But again, like, he's the gamer and these are his dungeons. He can do whatever he wants. And most who enter the dungeons lose themselves in it. Not literally, but mentally. He has the gamer's mind skill, which allows him to literally never lose focus and always stay alert. It's an honestly kind of broken skill, because if you kept dungeon hunting forever, you would lose your mind. But he can do it infinitely and never get tired from it. Alright, that's enough for today. Cancel dungeon. The world around him cracks, revealing himself to be in the second training ground of Jujutsu Tech, a rocky area. He checks his stats. Now, let's get into it again. So, same name, same job, male, Jujutsu student, level 284, title, the same titles he has, age 15, species half-blood, evolved to Demi God. I'm not joking about that one. And it's just a fancy way of saying that he has an extended lifespan. He can grow to like ages of 200 and above now. Think of him as like damn near an immortal being, but not really. He also regenerates faster than most people. It's just that his body itself has evolved because he's too strong to be considered human or half-blood or anything. He's just a new species. His MP is now around, let's say, 20 million. And HP is near about the same. So let's say about 15 million. Strength is 1,480. Agility, 1,930. Intelligence, 2,030. Stamina, 1,006. Wisdom, 1,336. Luck, 1,035. I'm about to list the same skills, so I'm just going to stop. But essentially, I'm going to mention at least the most important ones. So his domain expansion has evolved to Ultimate Domain, which is now level 3. And yeah, that's about the most important ones. Alright, let's continue. Oh wait, no, Black Flash. That went to, level 86. And now he is likely to hit Black Flash 86% of the time that he tries. So essentially, he can pull that shit off anytime he wants. Like, 86% is not small. And that's the main ones. If you guys want to know more, I'll put it down in the description for y'all. I'll put his status down. That's actually a good idea. I'll do that. However, even though I never mentioned it, Yuji's clothes are torn this time. It's only due to his reverse curse technique that he's managed to keep up his health right now. And because he's like a video game character, his reverse curse technique just raises his HP back to top level. And he never actually has any physical damage. Like, he literally can't bleed. He just loses HP. It's kind of freaky. And the new monsters he now faces are no longer just curses, but feel like full-on deities matching himself, who can control the very environment. So he's leveled that skill up a lot as well. By that skill, I mean the ability to control his fire, frost, wind, all that. And he's had to also develop reverse curse technique a lot just to not die on the spot. He spammed it so much that its level has gone like crazy high. Again, I'll put it in the description. Meanwhile, in the Tokyo colony, we see lying in a tub a simple lawyer, a man betrayed by the system he works in despite him choosing to always do the right thing. And that very same man is then approached by none other than Junpei Yoshino. Sir, are you Higuruma? Who are you? All that matters is who you are. You're Higuruma, alright? I heard you're kind of eccentric. Higuruma then plays the whole charade of trying to act like a judge, a bad judge who's greedy for money, because he's always wanted to play such a bit. But Junpei is just getting a bit pissed off because this world of Jujutsu has given and taken away from him quite a lot. Like, for instance, his mother. As he bursts with cursed energy, his skin seems to boil and gain a luminescent light color, and his hair rises as he begins to point forward. Higuruma, on pure instinct, manages to jump out of the tub right as it is punctured from above by what seemed like a transparent whip, which corrodes the tub, burns away the water, and melts through the wooden stage, and nearly reaches the lawyer. As soon as he lands, he quickly darts away and looks at Junpei. Okay, you're clearly mad. Have you ever killed someone who ticked you off before? I think I'm about to. Maybe it'll feel as good as I think it will. Oh, it does. I speak from experience. As he walks down the stage, his Shikigami shows itself as a hammer then appears in his hands. And behind Junpei appears an evolved Moondrex. No longer just a simple bulky jellyfish, it was far bigger and tough, now more thin and alike to a way more poisonous jellyfish. It was tougher and even harder to damage, and its reach was far wider now. That whip was actually one of Moondrex's stingers, but it was just, you know what I'm talking about. It is big, like it's massive now. Higuruma then begins to say the following words, domain, but is then cut off by Junpei, who says expansion. As he is left wide-eyed, they create domains, leaving the two of their worlds clashing, as the judgment made by Higuruma now holds poisonous air, and outside its bounds there are these massive jars. There is a ritual called the Kudoku, where all sorts of poisonous animals and insects are left in a jar. The last one standing is the most poisonous and most powerful, and this is used to cast curses, of course. This is the basis of Junpei's domain, of how he sees the world. Domain expansion, deadly sentencing. Domain expansion, rotting world. Due to the domains clashing, the effect of Higuruma's domain allowing no violence is cancelled, but it also means that he can choose whatever judgment he wants himself, even the death penalty. Junpei himself would have been killed already, but he obviously is holding him off with poison, and he would have killed most people very fast because of the poisonous air, but that effect is gone. But with every step he takes, he rots the floor beneath him and brings the poison closer himself. So now he's the holder of it. And Higuruma himself cannot actually... It's hard to... I hate domain battles so much. Higuruma cannot actually hurt the person he's fighting, but he has to be extremely careful because obviously Junpei is literally covered in poison. That's all I wanted to say. God, this is a pain. Thanks, both of them. Cutting away from him, however, we go to Fushiguro, who is left ticked off. It's the same day, by the way. He had followed the player named Remy to supposedly find Higuruma, but found himself cornered by an ancient sorcerer named Reggie, and he revealed, sorry, she lied to you. Fushiguro gives her the stink eye while she just smirked. You don't scare me. You're only level 10 like me. In this calling game, a binding vow was put in, allowing everyone to see each other's levels atop their heads. However, this can be corrected, or at least masked by Yuji. Those sent in here are far higher level than they appear to be to give them the advantage of surprise. But Fushiguro is in the mood for such games and summons his massive Madoka deer, which towers over himself and the two players. Instinctively, Remy steps back, as does Reggie, and he begins to applaud as well. Your Shikigami is magnificent. I applaud you. Just then, however, he notices in the corner of his eye, Fushiguro notices in the corner of his eye, a falling eyeball, which then detonates, swallowing him and Remy into flames. When these flames are then suddenly swept away to show him and the girl unharmed, while Madoka deer sneers. Fushiguro then blitzes and hits Reggie in the stomach, sending him flying until he crashes into a wall. Before he even slides down, Fushiguro then grabs him by his clothes and throws him off the building before jumping after him. I can see you. As he shouts this, he looks back to the rooftop, and the sorcerer who threw the eyeball feels uneasy, and he then just manages to turn when he's sent flying off the roof by the horns of a charging bull, which then shatter his bones. Hazenoki, who was the person who dropped the eyeball, doesn't understand how he wasn't able to track the summon, and meanwhile we see Fushiguro walk up to Reggie as they both land. Madoka deer rises from behind him once again. That Shikigami, it neutralizes techniques, doesn't it? It's a bit more complicated than that. With these words, he holds his hand forward and clenches them into fists while the sorcerer gets on guard, pulling out 2 receipts. However, before they can begin, a new rule is suddenly added, stating that a player can give any number of points they want to another player. As a smirk creeps on his face, Fushiguro then steps using a new skill, currently at level 10, Shadow Step. Upon stepping on his own shadow, he turns to mist and appears right before Reggie, using the enemy's shadow as a door before he rocks him to the floor, barely blocking his head as it bleeds from the crash. But he then lets go of the receipts he held, and they turn to knives that fire forward and strike Fushiguro, only to pass through him. He then grabs Reggie's leg and throws him towards a building, and Shadow steps right behind him, and then he slams him with lightning as he summons the power of Niue and grabs his head, electrocuting him intensely, all while the sorcerer finds himself unable to even fight back. This is the power of a modern sorcerer? I can't figure out his technique. As he stands right now, Fushiguro outclasses the likes of Reggie with ease, and honestly feels like he's picking on a kid right now. He's far too strong, and he's too fast for Reggie to even use his technique. Fushiguro Megumi is currently level 44, titled the Shadow Star. I thought that was pretty cool. He's 15, species human, obviously. His MP is 700, his HP is 30,000, his strength is 176, agility is 195, intelligence is 350. This is mostly because he's very analytical, so it rises very naturally. Stamina is 120, wisdom is 30, and luck is 41. No extra points on the side. His 10 shadow skill is now level 50. Sub skills, he has Endless Will's Abyss, level 37. Grant, level 29. Shadow Step is level 10, like I said, and Shadow Body, which lets him turn his body into shadows by applying his, endless shadows below him onto his body. Hazenoki, meanwhile, after crashing finally and standing back up, saw a bizarre man. This would be Takaba, and they got ready for battle. However, before they can really get into it, Hazenoki is informed by his own Kogane that Reggie is dead, and so he lowers his guard. I'm going home. Huh? Just like that? This isn't fun anymore. Don't follow me or I'll kill you. The comedian is left perplexed and simply watches as he leaves, before then saying that he didn't even start the fight to begin with. Hazenoki did, because he just randomly found him. But now he was just talking to himself and he felt like a loser. As for Megumi, he's in an alleyway as he leaves behind him blood with every step, and even now he realizes the lengths that he would go to for his sister because she is in danger from these games and he has no choice. But then he's met by another player who would glide down like a falling angel. Okay, yeah, Itadori, I found her. Through his status, Yuji then asks if he's sure, and Fushiguro says that he doubts anyone else matches the same description as an angel more than this girl who literally has wings and a halo. Alright, don't be a dick. I'll be there soon. Also, check in on Kugisaki for me. I haven't really heard much since she went with Maki and Kamo. Got it. Alright then. Hana Kurusu? As the days pass, on the 12th of November at the Sendai colony, Miyagi Prefecture, we find hell raining down upon the colony. This was the one place where Yuji wasn't able to get out the normal people, and so they're currently being rescued by Yuta Okotsu. It's a little glitch in the system because, I have to make it a little bit suspenseful. Come on. I know he's practically just a god at this point. He's literally a species of Demi God. I might have gone a bit far. Anyway, as he approaches an underpass, he sees a gathering of the refugees whilst he sheaths his katana, and amongst them is a mother of two. She asked if they were going to be okay, and he said yes, so they came out and he approached. He noticed how tired they were, so he knew he really needed to just let them relax. However, suddenly a chilling, grotesque sound begins to resonate, and he turns as everyone looks forward in horror. A swarm nears them. They don't know what the swarm is made up of, and along with this swarm, there are two refugees running from them for their lives. Go, shouts Yuta. As they listen and run, he dashes for the two and uses cursed energy control to move fast and grab them into the air. Rika! As he shouts for her and the swarm chases after the civilians, the bridge that they pass under is then crushed by the queen as she arrives from her void, and it is brought down on them. This stops them for a second, but they still advance. But it gives Yuta enough time to leap over the bridge and land in their path and swing with an explosion of cursed energy that tears them apart. By this point, he realized this swarm contained cockroaches, but that no longer mattered. Instead, he then noticed more of a pressing enemy, Kurorushi, a player in the running river nearby. A player who's a cursed spirit? No, Itadori won't let that happen. It's just a base calling game player then. He then makes his way down to the curse and gets into a stance for battle. All while two other sorcerers watch him from afar. Though they cannot see everything, they see enough. His output's exceptional for sure, thinks Ryu. Hey, get up. Hearing a new voice, he calmly turns. Ryu sees a pink-haired boy standing on the roof with him, and he stands. Why couldn't I notice you? Because I don't want you to. Anyway, I'm gonna kill you now, so at least put up a good fight. The sorcerer says he appreciates how upfront he is, and asks his Kogane who he is. He's the administrator, said the Shikigami. This left the ancient sorcerer in complete shock, and he just couldn't believe what was happening. Uro was told the same, and more so refused to believe it because he seemed so weak. Turning invisible, she snuck up behind him and then regained presence, only to be backhanded without Yuji even turning back to look her in the eye, and he sent her flying, crashing through 2 buildings. The wave from this left Ryu stunned and so excited, while Uro found herself in rubble and healed. Slowly healed. That hurt like a bitch. Okay, it really is him. I'll kill him. Ryu fires a blast from his pompadour, but Yuji moves forward, meeting it head on and busting it apart with domain amplification, wrapping his fist. But more fired, which he simply dodged before then backing away to where he was. Okay, I'm not actually gonna kill you. I need your points. Then show me a good time. You haven't even used your technique, have you? Yes, I have. I'm using it right now. You're experiencing its effects. As he's left confused, Yuji says that these stats he sees aren't the calling game barrier. This whole thing, the system, the dungeons, the fact that they can grow stronger than ever, it's all because of his technique. I'm the gamer. Nice to meet you. He is completely fascinated. It's just incredible. Such a phenomenon really does make him seem like a god right now. But instead of admiring him, Uro attacks him from behind with an icebreaker, and Yuji turns punching this and neutralizing it before then holding his palm open and holding her still with telekinesis. Will you give me your points? Go to hell. I really can't stand you people. With the swing, he throws her back down as she crashes into concrete, barely managing to soften the blow, and Yuji once again turns to Ryu. I feel like you'll be more understanding. I need some points, not that much, just a few. You might have to kill me. Holding his hand forward, Yuji then lets out a cold breath, and in a flash, before he could even react, he was frozen, as was the entire building beneath them. Yeah, if I go too far, you actually could die. As he approaches the player, he makes his intentions more clear, and now that he was no longer using his sneaking skill, his presence was terrifying. And he was right to him, like face to face. He asks again that he hand the points over. Kogane, give over all my points to the administrator. Now, Yuji's and Ryu's Kogane appear, looking at one another, and the points are given over. Yuji now has 77 points. Good. Now die. Damn, you're cruel. I think you've forgotten that body isn't yours, fucker. Some poor bastard's being used like a doll by you. I read your info. You felt unsatiated, unsatisfied. Fuck off. The dead should just stay dead. His psychic pulse fires and shatters the ice, and therefore Ryu, as his insides are spewed onto the floor. Instantly, Yuji then feels his body getting distorted as his neck is then pulled in for a kick by an angered Uro. As his neck slings back, he's then hit to the chest by an even stronger icebreaker, which knocks him back through his ice and shatters a bit of it. How you like that? Interesting technique. Give me your points. This isn't gonna last long. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5. The sorcerer can only think about how hurt her pride is and flies in, sending him flying with a punch and chasing after as she combos him with more blows while he continues to just count without even blocking once. 3. You bastard, who do you think you are? Screw it. Domain expansion. Crossing her arms, she unveils a barrier and traps in it Yuji, who then lands before a manor. The grassy field below him was now covered in blood, and it was clear skies, but he could feel many presences around him. 2. From all sides, massive shockwaves reverberate through air and begin to near him as Uro shows herself high above. Die and repent, administrator. 1. In a flash, the eyes of Uro are blinded by a new scene as she's flung into a wall and lands before quickly standing. Her breath quickens. She begins to sweat tremendously and shiver when she sees what's before her. What is this? Where am I? That was your last chance. As he approaches, he literally disappears and reappears with every movement as if reality itself is denying his existence. In a sense, he's glitching. The space that they now occupy couldn't even be described by words, however. Unlike any domain ever seen before, Yuji's was just not understandable. Because they were now outside of Uro's barrier. They were actually in the real world right now. And yet, somehow, it was as if this space, this world right now, was in Yuji's control. Slowly, she then began to choke as she suddenly finds herself in a massive sphere of water. Poseidon, utters Yuji. Before her then appears a curse. It was humanoid looking with blue long hair, 6 eyes, and wearing lustrous robes befitting of the Greek deity. It then points forward as it opens its mouth, muttering something, and against her own will, Uro is suffocated as water is forced down her throat. And the funny thing is, before she even knew she was in a cube of water, right, she was using a simple domain the moment she felt her own domain disappear. But it did nothing because Yuji's domain isn't encased in a barrier at all, so there's no sure hit effect, but within this range, you will be affected no matter what, because his domain makes no sense. You have gained 5 points, said Yuji's Kogane. The domain then shatters away, and like most of his dungeons, everything just returns to normal, and well, Uro is dead, and his ice shatters as well. Well, that was just boring. God, these people are sad. Have some gusto. I did like his hair though. Meanwhile, in Tokyo Colony number 2. At a pier, we see the cute panda laying in some cargo as he looks around bored when he then proceeds to roll off and land on his ass. Alright, I guess Hikari got held up. Let's find... Oh. He quickly then gets on all fours upon noticing the arrival of an ancient sorcerer, that being Hajime Kashima, who upon seeing the creature asks, did they lose one from the zoo? Kogane. As the Shikigami appears, he asks if this is a coin game player, and it says indeed it is, at which point he gives Panda not even a moment and blitzes him with a strike at his stomach the moment he begins to rise to defend himself. But his strike is then backhanded away before he's struck and sent flying into cargo, crashing into it. As he bounces back, he finds the fist of the bear coming straight at him and he smirks. He fires a trail of lightning from his dropped staff and using himself as a rod, and this lightning then busts through Panda's skin, making him back away. However, his durability matches that of Maki. As such, hurting him is no easy task, unless you're Yuji, so nothing of him is actually destroyed. Oh, I like you, but by any chance, do you know where Sukuna is? I ask Yuji. Who's that? Entering his gorilla mode, Panda responds with a roar, busting Hajime's eardrums as they bleed. He quickly then backflips onto cargo tops and pulls his staff to his hand as he backs away, dodging a swing from Panda who lands before him. They proceed to then exchange blows. But this bastard packs a wallop. Doesn't mean I'll be beaten like a ragdoll though. He strikes Panda's side and releases an explosion of lightning and continuously hammers into him the same skill that he had learned with his status. He then tosses the staff aside and palm strikes him and creates an even bigger blast, but from the veil of energy, Panda's arms pass through, grabbing his arms and pulling him in for a headbutt whilst he uses his drumming beat. His eyes, ears, and mouth burst with blood as he's ravaged by internal injuries. He then grabs and slams Kashimo to the cargo and then back and forth, and keeps doing so over and over and over as he flattens the object he was on, before then throwing him to the top of another one, and he tumbles before crashing to the floor. You bastard. Hey, that really hurt me too, you know. Pandas are sensitive. Oh, you fucking... This is the level of a modern sorcerer, huh? How exciting. His eyes would rev with power as he uses reverse cursed energy to blow through his body like an explosion, and he heals everything in an instant. He is covered from lightning from top to bottom and begins to see a falling, shouting Panda. Round 2, lightning rod, shouts the cursed corpse. As their battle continues, days later, at the Sakurajima colony on the 14th of November at 3 p.m., we are given a view of the cleanup that Kamo and Maki spread as they eradicate every single curse in their path. Maki exits from an underpass and tunnel, leaving behind dust when she then sees a rapid fire of arrows take to the sky before dropping as they follow the hand motion of the Kamo clan leader and pierce through every curse nearby miles away. Raining Crimson, active skill level 20, Bloodhound, passive, level 20. With this skill, anything that his blood touches within a mile radius can be felt and tracked, I mean Bloodhound, obviously, because he can literally smell and detect blood now. You look happy, said Kamo. Look who's talking. Now, Maki Zenin is currently level 57. Title is still Bloodbringer. Age 17. Species human. Yes, I know. She doesn't seem human. Now, her conversion for one of her stats has finally happened. Her MP has now changed to Aura, which is the specific energy that people who are like her, who have truly evolved with this system, possess. She has the Aura stat, which is just used to strengthen your body even more. Her HP is 30,040. Strength is 247, agility 240, intelligence 307, stamina 267, wisdom 32, luck 82. An extra point on the side, just one. It still has a status, abnormality, heavenly restriction, but then it also disappears. She no longer has it anymore. It's not really a status abnormality anymore. It's more like a benefit now, so it doesn't exist because her stat has come in. So she no longer has the heavenly restriction stat. This is just who Maki is now. Skills, Steel Body have evolved to level 33. Nope, 53. Let's say 53. Hypersense is level 50. Regeneration 72. She really worked on that one. You can imagine how much she got hurt to level up regeneration. Spear Mastery 13. Swordsmanship has evolved to Swordsmaster as well, and it's just a bit behind Miwa's, but that's because she only trains with the sword, but she also trains with the spear and also just many other things. And she has like 1 million in cash yen. As for Kamo, he's level 46. His title, you guys can think of that, honestly. I really couldn't think up anything for him, but it has to be cool. Species, human. MP is 1,000. HP is 20,000. His strength is 190. Agility is 197. Intelligence is 267. Stamina is 203. Wisdom 28. And luck 69. He really applied a lot in luck because he knew he had a shitty childhood and all that. So his skills, I'll go through them again. Blood manipulation, well, that's his clan thing. That's level 59 now, and again, he's had it longer than Fushiguro, so of course his shit is higher than his. Even though the levels might not match all the time, he just has more experience. I just wanted to let y'all know that. Piercing Blood is at level 46. Raining Crimson, level 20, like I said. Same thing with Bloodhound. Doping is level 33, and Conversion is level 41. If I forgot anything, please let me know down in the description. As they walk alongside each other, however, they get a notification, much like every other player, that the final dungeon has been established, meaning that the end of this is finally coming, and it will all end at Shinjuku. Finally. You look so excited. I mean, it's all likely that all of them have been killed, said Kamo, especially with Miwa and Yuta on the loose, and Yuji finally doing something. Just then, an explosion of cursed energy goes off behind a building, and an entire 5-story building just is riddled with holes. Like, just holes. Massive holes. And she's also having fun, says Kamo. We really should have restricted her a bit. She's fine. At the door of that building, on the other side, we see Kugisaki standing before a special great curse, riddled with massive holes as it crumbles away. Not gonna lie, even as strong as you are, I bet Yuji wouldn't even use you as a warm-up. Skills, Straw Dog Technique, level 46. Kanzashi is level 32. Tomonari is level 43. And Tenacity is level 23. And let's have a little skill called Soul Strike. It's level 10. If she hits you with anything of her cursed energy, it will damage your soul. There, I did it. As the building itself crumbles, she gets a call, and she picks it up. Yeah? Already? I was kind of getting into it. Over at Tokyo Colony number 1, meanwhile, we found Fushiguro talking with Hana. Wait, what? Asked Fushiguro. The Fallen One. He's joined your game, and I suspected that if your friend's technique is as powerful as it is, then Roman Sukuna will become even more of a problem. There's no need to worry about him using the system. That privilege can be taken away in one instant. Trust me. Just then, Takaba runs into the hotel room and says that he brought snacks and a new friend. And from behind him, in walks Yuji Itadori, and the angel notices instantly that he is different. His soul is different, very powerful. I came to pick you up, he said. Yeah, I saw a notification, said Fushiguro. How many survived? Just 2. someone named Hazanoki and Ryomen Sukuna. Hearing this, the two sorcerers don't know how to react. He's actually alive somehow, and considering his title, they can't even imagine what damage he will bring. But Yuji's here, and there are a lot of skills that he has that I've never mentioned. He'll beat Sukuna. 16th November, Shinjuku. The dungeon built as Shibuya spread to Shinjuku, and the one who made this challenge even like awesome to begin with and brought the attention begins to fall into the dungeon through a crack. It was noon. The King of Curses makes his appearance as he falls into the city forgotten by time, another setting made by Yuji. He is now in a dungeon called Asgard. He lands in the street, spreading his arms wide as he cracks his bones and stretches. So, where is the administrator? Don't tell me you're afraid. Who are you talking to? He then turns, firing a dismantle, meeting the bare skin of Yuji, and this is deflected aside, hitting a building. Calm down, I haven't even set the time or anything. Jeez. Ah, yes. You look interesting. Clapping his hands, Yuji then says, Alright, no rules. Just win until, well, your HP runs out, then you die. And don't think you can trick the system in any aspect. If you drop your HP to 0, you will die. Even I'll die. But at the same time, don't obsess over it. It makes this less fun for me. Without any further ado, let the game begin. Each getting into a fighting stance, we finally have it. The fight between the strongest sorcerer in history against what you can only describe as a complete weirdo, an anomaly. So Miki, I told you to get rest, and then you told me to do this, said Fushiguro. I mean, you're really in no condition for this right now. Pushing his sister in a wheelchair, they make their way to the classroom building where everyone else was watching the fight. Mia, of course, took advantage to have bets be put on this and such, and used her crows to be in there to capture some of the action, but Yuji doesn't really care. Getting his head bashed in, however, Sukuna spits blood before being kicked through a building, when he then stops and is pulled back through to meet a spear of ice. He slices it using cleave, however, and lands, activating his skill. Stack, level 30. Holding his hands forward, he stacks cleave and dismantle onto one another and towards Yuji, who only advances, using his domain amplification to completely neutralize them with a smile. They literally shatter on impact. I never thought of it, but I guess I can do it too, muttered the child. Holding his hands forward in the same fashion as Sukuna, whose face turns pale for a moment, he is thrown back, finding his skin lacerated with cuts. Skill, slice, acquired. I keep forgetting. You made this game, thinks Sukuna. Fun. Everyone watches the fight and try their best to understand the flow of it, as even Kusakabe can't make any sense of it at all. And everyone means all Jujutsu sorcerers, by the way, like all Jujutsu students, my bad. The faculty, including Yaga, who is still alive, and honestly, they're not really scared. They're not worried. It's just a bizarre feeling. None of them prepare anything for like what happens after this. This is the end all be all. When it comes to battles of Jujutsu, nothing is really guaranteed, but Yuji is not normal and never has been. They are the result of this. Without him, none of them would have ever become so powerful or reached their potentials. And Sukuna would learn the hard way that all his techniques and experience didn't really mean much. Having been on the back end of this entire fight, he crashes through more buildings and lands in a classroom, which is frozen in an instant as he darts back, avoiding a sword, and then another, and another, and another, when from above a massive paw strikes down, and he fires a cleave. The establishment shatters, and from its falling rubble, Sukuna is thrown to the sky as behind him is the massive Fenrir, who takes his true form, while Yuji sits on its head. Like him? Fenrir's a doll, huh? Would you shut your mouth and just face me? Fenrir responds with a roar, which expels an array of massive needles from his mane. This only knocks Sukuna farther up, when from above drops a massive beast only seen in legends. Charmander. The mythical creature then bites down, flying past Yuji and Fenrir, and the moment he makes impact on the ground, a wave of flames washes down below, melting through the city and crumbling it. He's definitely got some finesse to him. If I was just a normal sorcerer, I would have been able to enjoy this more though, thinks Yuji. Charmander continues breathing fire as he retreats and keeps his eyes down below looking for Sukuna. When the smoke then completely fades along with the fire, the king rises again, this time much stronger. Scale the dragon, recoil, twin meteors. You might want to dodge. Spatial cleave. Using his second mouth and his new arms, which he had regained again, he reveals another skill he learned and flung this cleave faster than it should be perceivable, leaving all in their seats standing abruptly. But then relief washes over them. Charmander, don't let your guard down. As the dragon growls, Fenrir floats down, snarling at him, and the dragon shows a look of shame. Yuji now flies before them, saying to stop fighting amongst one another. He blocked it, thinks Sukuna. Parry has evolved to counter. Though his sleeve was ruined, there was no scar on Yuji, and he was healing himself already. Yuji with a gamble was able to evolve this skill and make it even stronger, and begin to flow his cursed energy as Fenrir and Charmander disappeared. Mana. Open. What is this? Thinks Sukuna. As everyone retakes their seats, Maki remarks that this energy that Yuji is letting off isn't cursed energy. I mean, I can see it clearly. I know that's not cursed energy, right? Yeah, about that. What energy? Said Yuta. I don't see anything. Maki's eyes widen as she asks if no one else sees that, and Hakari remarks that he may have finally found a justification to call himself an evolved being. Please, he's too much of a softie for that, Mai said. Sukuna himself cannot see this energy either, but the pressure it lets off is alarming. The gamer takes ground and approaches the king, saying, it's gonna take some getting used to, this new stat, but if Maki-senpai can do it, I'm sure I can too. Round 2, Sukuna. Uraume and Miwa was so surprised and confused, he didn't even know how to respond, so his instincts take over and he begins to swing, but hits a barrier, being knocked into the air. Mana Shield. Passive, level 20. Hey, come on, don't do this to me now. I got all serious for you. So come on! Show me something interesting, King of Curses! What does this mean for Yuji? Will Sukuna be able to prove himself? Find out in the next part of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's been your boy. Hope you'll enjoy this. Peace. I'm gone.
The seasons come and go like thoughts of you. Like a wave returns to the sea into the blue. They change but in a cycle that I can't lose. Each painful but delightful to live through.